Hello, and welcome to Radio Talk Cafe, where we connect people, purpose, and passion. I'm Gina McBride, your host, and we're happy you are joining us today. We will be talking with Jack Anderson, longtime civic and community leader and head of the Escondido Library Foundation, which is the funding arm for the Escondido Public Library. We will also be hearing from Donna Federn, who is the Digital Services Manager, about a program that she created at the library called LibraryYou, and that's Y-O-U, you. Today we'll be talking about the Escondido Library Foundation and the institution it supports, the Escondido Public Library. The library is located in Escondido, California, which is situated in North San Diego County in Southern California. The library and the foundation have a rich history, and I'm pleased to have Jack Anderson, longtime president of the foundation, as our guest today. Welcome, Jack.
Morning, Gina.
Happy to have you here.
I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Jack, you yourself have a long relationship with the city of Escondido, the library, and the foundation. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be such a supporter and in love with Escondido for so many years?
I came to Escondido in 1980 as an employee of the city, and part of my first responsibilities included oversight of the library, as well as Parks and Recreation and Senior Citizen Services. So I became familiar with the library and actually was involved with building the current library building. We opened it in 1981. Over time, as I stayed with the city, I served 27 years total with the city and retired 5 years ago. I came to love what the library has to offer the community. My wife taught in Escondido schools, and the library was important to her and to her children, her students as well. We consider the library to be a critical, integral part of a community. It is a place where people gather. It's a center of knowledge. It's an aspect of community culture. And the Escondido Library has been in town a long time, has been very effective, and continues to be so. And the Library Foundation is the fundraising arm. We are a nonprofit, a 501c3 corporation, so people can make donations to us. They can grant money through bequests, wills, trusts, and we are responsible to handle that well. And the gift they give is not to the government, it's to the foundation. And our purpose is compatible with that of the city, but we fulfill a different role.
Oh, thank you for that explanation. I appreciate that. You mentioned your interest in the children's library and your wife's interest in that as well. And you can't help but notice the wonderful mural as you go up the stairs and the tremendous, fabulous artwork in the children's library. I think the foundation had a good bit to do with the development of the children's library. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
The foundation did provide the resources to create the murals in the children's library, and the vision was to give the expanse of African scenes, animals, and landscapes, which brings an element of geography, so to speak, to a building. And the children enjoy the pictures and the caricatures, but it also adds color and life and excitement to the children's library. Interestingly, this library, I mentioned, it was opened in 1981 and was really significantly in need of some refurbishment. And the city committed money, significant amounts of money, to do major refurbishment 2 years ago. We reopened, and our mural coincided with that. So that was a wonderful part of the activities around the reopening. But the city feels that, and the foundation agrees, that this building still has a lot of life, and so it was a valuable investment to refurbish it, to give it some strength. But our real challenge is the building is undersized. We have outgrown it over the 30 years or so of its existence. And so our focus now is to how ways in which we can expand this building and grow it at this location.
I was speaking with Joanne Greenberg, your wonderful librarian, just yesterday, and she was saying that the need for expansion is so tremendous because people need spaces to connect and to take advantage of all the library offers now, the growing opportunities with high tech and all these things that are available. There needs to be space for that. And I understand programming is a big part of what the library is doing. And she said she was amazed at the skyrocketing attendance of services and programs last year, like 4 times as many. Mm-hmm. So certainly we need space to accommodate that.
For a long time, when you look at statistics, you can see that, in my view, the library is the single busiest public facility in a community. Sure, the schools have attendance, the same children come back day after day, but for a single building that attracts a broad variety of users, residents, visitors from other communities come to a library for resources. And we're able to expand that capability with certain kinds of technology. Some communities that are very large geographically also have branch libraries, and so you'll have a smaller pod somewhere in the community with library materials and access to library information. But a main library has such a unique character because it has everything, and it also is this great gathering place for not only people to seek information, but to also build relationships. An example that I just recently encountered, I was at a Barnes and Noble and a coffee shop within the Barnes and Noble, and I ran into someone I knew, and his son was there with a study group from Palomar College, the local community college. And the library is the kind of place where they should be able to have those study groups as well. Have coffee, have a place to meet, have resources at hand, but be able to do the business that's important to them. And speaking of business, one of the things about this library is it's located in downtown Escondido. And our downtown is unique. It has a great character. And the library facility as a gathering place, as a resource for the community, is perfectly suited to be downtown, to connect with local businesses, to connect with young people, older people. Escondido is adding many residential areas downtown, and so the library is a perfect fit to grow along with that downtown. And our expansion need is there because of that increasing demand. And it's not just more room for more books. We are really a place where people can have Wi-Fi, they can bring their own technology resources or use our computers. And we recently, the foundation received a gift from the Starkschlager Trust, and we named the Business and Technology Center for Glenn Starkschlager. So we appreciate that very much, but it really focuses the value of the business and economic development support that comes from a library.
Yeah, and also, as I come through town, I notice Escondido downtown is so vibrant. There is so much going on. There are people all over the place, and it's really become quite a hub in this part of the county. And certainly business is growing in this area, which is tremendously important for all of us.
It is a vibrant downtown in many communities, and San Diego County has a number that are newer communities, and oftentimes a downtown is not there. And sometimes they try to create it. But a downtown is a part of the community's fiber. It's a location where people gravitate to, and maybe a main street, but character, older businesses, civic functions, government, main businesses, and retail, and a library, and a place for people to go to learn things, to enjoy things, to become make the community stronger. You know, interestingly, libraries are not places for people just to come and get things, but they're also part of creating content. A couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to have a forum here, and our special guest was the California State Librarian, Stacy Aldridge. And the title of the forum was Libraries Transforming Communities Beyond the Book. And that hits the nail on the head about what our library is about. Things like LibraryYou, having computer workshops and areas for people to learn about technology and how they can access resources to support educational accomplishments or efforts, business, etc. And these things come about because our library is very creative at creating partnerships and doing things with others, and perhaps the resources, either money or equipment, that we achieve through that, such as LibraryYou, a grant from the state of California. And one of the things we learned about and are possibly considering is a project called MindSpot, where you actually, this is in place in other communities around the world, actually, there's some international as well that we learned about, where you take those technological resources out to where people are in the community. They can't all get to the main library, but you can't necessarily take a library to them, but you can take the technology, Wi-Fi and equipment and that kind of thing. Another unique aspect of our partnerships that meet people's needs is we have a California Veterans Services office in part of our library. And so veterans needing referrals, needing information can come to our library and be served.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. The libraries aren't what we think. It's not your granddaddy's library anymore, is it?
That's true.
Yeah. Wonderful technology and also services, as you mentioned, for the military and for career. Services are here as well, where people can come in, and especially the young people have a place to come and learn about careers and do research and do resumes and reach out, for jobs,
Absolutely.
So there's so many things that libraries do besides just provide books. That's the library of old.
Absolutely.
I think we're a library in the 21st century in a true sense of the word.
Right,
Yeah.
and continuing to grow in that direction.
Yeah.
And speaking of growth, our library does need additional space. We have been in these quarters for 30 years, and we're out of space. And the foundation is spearheading plans to expand the library. We engaged a design firm about 3 years ago with resources from the foundation and the Board of Trustees. They have a separate financial resource, and did a preliminary design plan. And several years ago, when I was working and the library was trying to expand, we applied for grants from the state, and were not successful in achieving that. Other communities had greater need. And that was back then was a plan to build a whole new library. Approximately 80,000 square feet of space, almost double the size of what we have now. Because we weren't successful there, and looking at realities and how best can we grow and still be cost effective and good stewards of the resources that we have, we came up with a plan to keep the existing building and to add a new building and essentially create a downtown library campus, more than one building. And this is a plan we're now undertaking in partnership with the city. We have a preliminary plan, and now we're doing some of the specific planning to define spaces, to assess the environmental impacts of the building and parking and those kinds of things. And we're working in that end to create the campus and also to retain this strong connection to downtown. The main entrance will be at the corner of Broadway and 2nd, which is on this same property. The city owns all the property that we're on now, even though some of it's used not for the library, but we own it all. And our goal would be to strengthen the connection between the library and downtown. We're just a block off of the main drag, Grand Avenue, 2 blocks away from the Civic Center, and it's very pedestrian friendly, and that's part of our goal in the expansion.
So the idea then is, rather than to go for the whole picture or the whole vision at once, is to stage it in over a number of years, I suppose.
That's correct. And the refurbishment that I spoke about earlier for this building has given it new life. And we need to take a look at buildings and say, okay, they should have 40 or 50 years worth of life. How do you keep them fresh? How do you keep them strong in relation to changing needs and changing demands? And a big part of that is technology. How do you create a building and a space that allows you to adjust, to modify, to remake relative to the demands of technology? I went through this when I worked for the city, and we had an old police station that was built like a fortress, concrete block and steel, and you had no flexibility to move walls and do things. And so this library building that we're in now, 30 years old though, does have some flexibility, but clearly the new addition would be more focused on technology and spaces that can be adjusted to meet demand and to work with the demands that we have.
Yeah. Joanne mentioned that in talking about the spaces, that flexibility was important, that to have spaces where a person could be in a little small room by themselves to do their studies and to do their work and to work on computer, and also rooms that are very small where 2, 3, 4, 5 people can meet together, or larger groups. So the connectivity that the library can offer to people is very important. A space where people can go, know they can have a space to connect with other people.
In our foundation's view, and kind of as our perspective of libraries, we consider them to be a critical part of the community, as important as things like public safety and strong economic development and that kind of thing. And in that regard, the space needs to be so accessible and important as it's prepared as well, equipped, so that people realize they cannot function without being connected to the library. It becomes a part of their ongoing activity and their basis for success, for achieving new things and for growing their businesses and those kinds of things.
You know, I know that in raising money for expansion, we're talking about a lot of money. And you had mentioned earlier about partnerships when we were talking. Do you envision partnerships with different businesses and corporations and entities that all want to be identified with a library that gives so much to the community?
As you say, the library gives so much to the community. It really is an ownership thing. Everyone has an ownership in the library, whether you're a business person, a small business, or a larger corporation, the government, and every resident. It needs to be something that's important and seen as needed by everybody in the community. So a big part of our effort is to communicate that value that people continue to receive from the library, so that the community recognizes its responsibility and the treasure that it has in a library. And our preliminary planning for expansion, it's too early to talk about exactly how much a building will cost, although we are focused on being as efficient and as effective stewards as we can be with the public's and the community's dollars relative to this, as well as to donor dollars. But we view a partnership where the city government would have a role. We would expect that we can try to raise money from donors, from corporations, from foundations, and that would be part of it. And then the community may very well be asked also to be a part of that, so that we would actually create a partnership for the resources to expand the library from a variety of sources and not just a single source, so people can say, well, someone else is going to do it, I don't have to do anything. Our focus would be that everybody has a responsibility to ensure that this community library is the best it can be for as long as possible in the best community, best facility available to the community.
I'm sure the community would love that.
We'll work on that. That's a big effort of our foundation.
And the foundation, it's your current focus is to get the library expanded, to get the money, to make people aware of what you're doing here and the importance of expansion here in our community.
There are a couple, steps take time, and for us to think that our next major achievement will be the expansion of the library is probably a little bit far-fetched. It's a goal we have. We have to be mindful of the community's readiness for it, of having a design that works, designing it so that it's a very efficient operation. So the idea of having enhancements take place, for example, the murals in the children's room in this building. This building is still going to be an effective part of the library, so that was a wise investment. They're not movable. They're a part of the wall. Mm-hmm. But this building will be part of the campus and therefore be an integral part of a library as it expands. So we don't want to sit on our money until we have it all for the building, and yet we want to make sure we're strategically using it as we earn money for both set aside for the building and make the enhancements that are needed to keep this library functional. As Joanne Greenberg has said, we're growing. Our demand is great, is continuing to increase. So we don't want to short circuit the ongoing operations, but we're not an operator supporter. The foundation is supporting the major kinds of improvements, capital and those kinds of things, as opposed to the day-to-day operations. But our goal remains that expanded building, another building that will give us more capacity, more capability.
Okay, tremendous. And I'm sure many people will want to participate and will be anxiously awaiting news of the future of the library. And it sounds like a lot of the processes that you will be learning about in maintaining this library will help you as you design and move on to expand the library.
They will. We expect to have some accomplishments in 2013 relative to defining the spaces and the operations in the new building. So as that year moves on, next year, towards probably a year from now at this time, so August of 2013, we will have a much better idea of the plan and ultimately what it will cost us to expand the library.
We'll look forward to hearing about that. Any last comments?
If you are interested in contacting the foundation, there also is a link through the LibraryYou and access to this podcast for the foundation.
Welcome back to Radio Talk Cafe, where we connect people, purpose, and passion. I'm Gina McBride, your host, and we thank you for being here with us today. We had an exciting conversation with Jack Anderson, who is the president of the Escondido Library Foundation, about the innovations that are taking place here at the Escondido Public Library. At this time, I am absolutely delighted to have a very fascinating woman named Donna Fettern, who is the Digital Services Librarian for the library. And Donna has created a unique program here at Escondido Public Library. And it is highly successful. It is serving as a model for other libraries, and Donna finds herself in high demand to actually speak on this innovative concept and how other libraries can also adopt this type of program. The program is called LibraryYou, and that's Y-O-U-U, kind of a play on words there. So welcome, Donna.
Thank you very much.
Happy to have you here, and hope that you'll tell us, first of all, a little bit about yourself, about your history with the library, and how you came up with this wonderful idea.
Thank you very much. Well, I've been a librarian now for about 13 years, and I started my career with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, actually, another nonprofit organization, and I traveled the country helping libraries with their new computer grants from the Gates Foundation, training the librarians and library staff how to use their equipment. So really, I started my career with technology and libraries, and it has continued these 13 years. I've been here at the Escondido Public Library for 9 years. I started as the automation systems librarian. I have redesigned the website here about 3 times, and I've had various different roles. I've also been the teen and media services services librarian, and I love working with teens, and so that's also a natural tie-in with technology because that's such a big part of their lives. And I've been the digital services manager here for the last just under 2 years. And I'm in charge of our social networking presence, our web presence, training staff, training the public, and this big LibraryYou project. So that's my background. As far as coming up with LibraryYou, I'm fortunate to be able to attend conferences, professional librarian conferences from time to time. And back in 2010, I attended one of my favorite conferences, which is the Internet Librarian Conference in Monterey. And I was very excited by the use of video in libraries. A lot of libraries were starting to have their own YouTube channels, using video for advocacy. And the big project that was getting a lot of buzz at the time was the Chicago Public Library's U Media grant. They had received approximately $100,000 to create a space for teenagers that was stocked with computers and gaming equipment and multimedia equipment. And they were just inviting the teens in to come and create or come and play and use technology in the library. And that was very exciting to me. So I started coming up with this idea of having a space in the library where we could help people create their own videos. And originally I thought that it would be great to have people create videos for advocacy. They could say what the library meant to them and why the library was important in their lives. But as I started developing the idea, I realized that it might be useful if it was mutually beneficial. I mean, if people came in and did advocacy, that was great. They were doing something good for the library. But if we're helping people create videos that could help them promote their area of expertise, and maybe some of the people that we've had contribute have their own businesses, then we're getting something. We're getting something for our digital collection, and they're getting something. They're getting a video that they can share on Facebook, or they could put on their website, and they can also learn the process of creating a video. So I moved away from advocacy and more into this how-to and tutorials. So right now the scope of our project is videos and podcasts that are how-tos and tutorials, but we're expanding that a little bit as the grant period draws to a close. And I just grabbed the idea of LibraryYou. I just really love that title, that it's Library University in one way, but also you are part of the library. You're part of our bank of knowledge that we have here. And why can't local people also become part of the library's collection? Because we have so much local expertise that we can tap into here in Escondido.
You know, I'm sure our listeners are now all excited about the fact that you can magically turn all of us into video filmmakers and podcasters. So exactly how do we go about providing the programming, bringing the people in, and getting people started in this process?
As part of the grant, we said that we would start offering public training classes. And in the initial part of the grant, I hired staff and we started buying the equipment and stocking our recording studio. And then we started creating the videos, and then it was on to training, and we've just gotten started with public training. So some of the people who've made videos have wanted to do some of the work, and they've sat with us and watched as we edited their videos, or they've done a little bit of work themselves. But then we started offering classes to the public on how to do your own video and how to do your own podcast. And those have been very well received and well attended, and we've just started. So we're really hoping that we will be able to offer a lot more of these classes throughout the coming years to get more people who are excited about this, well versed in how to make your own video or how to make your own podcast. I mean, millions of people are doing it every day on YouTube. You see so many videos uploaded, and we just want everybody to have a chance to know how that process works and how to make a quality video.
I understand that Escondido is the 21st 23rd most inventive American city, and that they have 148 patents applications per 100,000 people. So we must have a lot of people in this area with a lot of expertise and experience that would be very valuable for the library to be able to share with the community. And it furthers the concept of community publishing. And so it appears that the library is becoming not only in the business of helping people consume information, but also to create that information. And is that your key to the future of the library?
That is one of the ideas that I am very interested in, and it is becoming very popular in the librarian professional community, people who are looking into our futures. They're seeing libraries as partners in content creation. I mean, historically, for years and years and decades and centuries, libraries have been places where people can come and get books that have been published by major publishers. And that's great. That's how the world has worked. It was sort of a one-way street. But with the advent of the internet, everybody is able to be a publisher online. What libraries do is they really help those people who are lagging behind with those technology skills. And they're also helping highlight people in their local communities. They're really the people who do best with local collections. We do well with our local history collections, and why not do well with a local expert collection? So this idea of libraries as content creators is really gaining traction, and a lot of libraries are starting things like digital media labs. Some libraries are helping people self-publish ebooks. And so this is just our variation of that idea that we are finding our local experts and we are adding them to our digital collection, and we are empowering them to be able to self-publish and create things, because the internet's making it so easy. But so many people don't have access to that technology education. How do I do it? There's a lot of interest out there, but a lot of people just don't know how to get started. And we're excited that we can buy the equipment and share it, and also share our knowledge to train the community.
So people that do want to share their knowledge and experience with the community, coming here to record that knowledge is a little different than actually doing a YouTube. I mean, you get really professional expertise here to help people, train them to actually do a professional job, and to have something that you will catalog, as well as they're having it available for their families or their business or whatever their purpose is for that.
Right. The exciting thing about this is that these pieces of content are becoming part of the library's digital collection. So that means when you walk up to our catalog and you type in beekeeping or you type in quilting, you can come across a book or a DVD that's part of the library's collection, or you can get a link to our LibraryYou video that's actually made by a local person. So that's really helping people. The other idea that I love is this idea that we are also sharing our local expertise with the world, because it is online, because it is on the internet. I watch our internet statistics. I see who's visiting our LibraryYou site. And it's very exciting to see that someone in Fiji typed into Google how to start a vegetable garden, and our video on our LibraryYou site is the one that they came across, and hopefully they learned something from a local Escondido.
Oh, that's something I find totally fascinating, because when you have a radio show here in the area, it's right here, and it's one time, and it's very local.
Right.
Whereas on the internet, if you can get your message on the internet, it's around the world, and it's instant, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people that want to get that message out, not only here, but to offer it to the world.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So you're not just tied to Escondido.
No.
Now, how do people find out about this? I mean, you've just done a wonderful job of building this Equip studio here, and you might tell us a little bit about your team, who you have, working together to help people. But then how do people know about what you're doing? What kind of outreach are you doing to bring them in?
I have made some presentations to local organizations, and I'm always available to do more. I've talked to the local Latino business organization. I've grabbed people from my Toastmasters class. I'm always telling people, I feel like a headhunter or a talent scout. I feel like I'm always on the hunt for interesting people in the Escondido community. And that's really exciting because if you're at a networking event or if you're at a party and you meet someone and they do something interesting, you can say, oh, that's great, but it's good to meet you, but I get to say, I think you're so cool. I want to make a video of you and add you to our library's digital collection. So it's really exciting in that way. We have gone to the local farmers market. We've made posters. The local news media has been really excited about this project and has written several articles in the local newspapers about it. So we're slowly getting the word out there. At first, that was my biggest concern, was that people wouldn't know and we couldn't get the word out fast enough. Libraries don't have advertising budgets. Unless you're a very big library, you don't have somebody in charge of PR. So we send out press releases, we do posters, we advertise this on our Facebook page, and we depend on a word of mouth. A lot of people have found out about this just by seeing the posters in the library. And we would ramp up our efforts a little bit more, but we've been pretty steady with the amount of people who have been interested in making videos and podcasts. And we'll definitely increase our efforts to spread the idea that and encourage people to come in once we run out of contributors. But we're just so excited that there's so many people who are willing to give us a little bit of their time and share their knowledge, that we just really haven't run out of people so far. What we are going to be running out of right in the next couple weeks here is staff time. So we're looking to partner with local schools and universities to get interns to come in and help us create these videos. We were able to hire a part-time recording studio person to come in here, and he was a local person who worked in the video game industry and who draws. He's very creative. I was lucky that I was able to hire people who just are makers, people who are creators, people who are constantly having to be creative, and we're very excited about this project. His name is Tom Carroll, and we also were able to hire a high school student. He just graduated during the course of this project, named Adrian Garcia. He came to us with a lot of video editing skills, and this was his very first job. So how cool to be able to put recording studio assistant. He worked on this LibraryYou project on his resume. So hopefully it will help him in the future with college and getting other jobs, that he had this really exciting first job. And also our hiring freeze was hurting us for a bit here. We were able to hire one position with some retirements, and that was our digital services librarian. And so we were able to hire Victor, who is recording this right now. He is our audio guy, but also a librarian who is very good at working on the reference desk, but also has a lot of tech skills. So I really couldn't have done this project without this team. I might have come up with the idea and organized it and applied for the grant, but it was really my team that created the work that we've been so proud of. They're the ones who helped purchase the equipment. They're the ones who worked with the people. It's a lot of talent management going on. How do I help this person be the best that they can be on video or in an audio recording? And they're the ones who really made this project what it is. So I'm very excited to have them, but we will be missing two of them coming soon. So we're going to be looking to maybe work with high schools or Palomar or CSUSM to have some students come in and maybe get some work experience and help us create more videos and podcasts and great digital content.
And it seems like the young people have so much of this talent that's just sort of inborn. Other people, more adult people, they have to learn it. And young people, it just seems to be part of their natural talent because of video games and that type of thing. So I would think that if they can find a way to put that to professional use, they would find it tremendously satisfying, and it would be very helpful for the library as well.
It is a very creative project. There is room for people to be creative. So I think that the creative people I have on the team have been drawn to that, and that has been really exciting. We have had a couple older volunteers, people who have podcasting experience, tell us that they want to actually become a volunteer at the library and help us with this. So I don't always want to limit by age. I mean, it's exciting for some of the younger people because they do have the ability to learn about this stuff in school now. A lot of schools, I don't know, maybe most of the schools in Escondido have some form of AV digital video recording lessons. So we're definitely looking at some of the students who have been in those programs and want some work experience, some real world experience outside of school. But yeah, we don't want to close ourselves off to the fact that there are some older people in our community that are excited by technology and have some of these skills and are actually willing to give us some of their time for free to help us with this project because they believe in what we're doing as well. So that's been exciting too.
And you have this nice studio that they can work in, so that makes it fun for them as well.
Yes.
Now, I understand when you got the grant to start LibraryYou, part of it was that you would be sharing the knowledge and sharing the growth and success of LibraryYou with your colleagues around the state and elsewhere. So tell us how that's working.
I started a blog to track the progress, so I've been trying to post things. It's just LibraryYou.org to post our progress, to post some of the things we're doing, and hopefully to post things that are helpful to other people who are maybe considering a similar project. I've had a couple libraries contact me, one in Maine and one in Tennessee, to say that they're interested in possibly starting their own LibraryYou, which I think would be exciting, really exciting for other libraries to do this because it has been so well received by our community, and there are local experts in every community that libraries could really take advantage of for their digital collections. So that's been exciting. I've put in a couple proposals to speak at conferences, and so I will be sharing at the Internet Librarian Conference where I first came up with this idea. I'll be doing that this year, and then also the California Library Association Conference. I will be speaking there. And it was the California State Library that actually provided us with the funding for this. They administer our LSTA grants. Those are national grants that really help libraries do more creative things, innovative things with technology, and they were the ones who awarded us this grant. So I'm happy to give back to the state of California as well. So we'll see how it goes. I would love for other libraries to be inspired by this. There's been a lot of good feedback from librarians who think that it's a step in the right direction, that it's a good example of our ability to help the public with content creation. So we'll see if anybody else jumps on board or does something similar. But right now I'm being influenced by a lot of other libraries doing inventive things with technology and with digital media. And we'll see if somebody else gets inspired by our project.
Yeah, that's wonderful. See, because you could have started a project that would go nationwide and be helpful for young people that want a career in technology and who can bring, great skills in that area, to the library as well. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful that LibraryYou can call upon talented people in the community, and you can take those talented people and make them filmmakers and podcasters and magically transform them into being able to provide great content for the community, and that you can catalog it. And they're part of your library. I mean, everybody would like to write a book. Mm-hmm. And everybody can now.
Right.
And now everybody can do a video, and they can do a podcast and get their message out in various forms. But thank you for your innovation and your creativity and providing that to the LibraryYou project here at the Escondido Public Library. And are there any last comments that you would like to make about the program?
We're just always looking for volunteers and interns. I think that's our major call for action right now. So if anybody is excited about this and they want to learn, then definitely look out for our calendar for upcoming classes. Or if you already have the skills and you want to contribute a video, please send it in. We're looking for submissions. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for interns to really help grow this project. Each individual person brings something unique to this project. So we're looking for you. We're looking for experts. We're looking for technology buffs. Contact us. We would love to work with you.
Would you tell us again how people could contact you?
Yes, you can just call anybody at the library and they'll direct you to me. But the LibraryYou website has contact information and more information about what we're looking for in this project. And the URL for that is libraryyou.escondido.org.
Okay, and that's LibraryYou, Y-O-U-U.
Right.
Right. Yeah, a very clever play on words. And you're a very clever person, very innovative, and thank you for your talents and growing this program at the library.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. I want to thank Donna Feddern and Jack Anderson for being our guests today. And this podcast is brought to you in collaboration with LibraryYou as part of their efforts to share local knowledge. They've been instrumental in assisting Radio Talk Cafe get launched, and I personally appreciate their expertise and willingness to have someone be able to share their knowledge with not only the community, but hopefully with the world. So until next time, this is Gina McBride. I look forward to seeing you again.